That's the team that plays to win for you and me.
Welcome back, Shimboners. Today's pod, we have our listener Q&A. Very excited for that one. Thank you to everyone who has sent your questions in. It's your pod, this one. The listeners are taking over and asking us their questions. As always, joined by the Big Chief. Chieftain, welcome.
Thank you. People's Pod.
It is the People's Pod, and we're very much looking forward to that.
Thanks for all the questions.
And also, thanks for the comments on our last pod with Emma Carney, which was a great conversation. If you haven't checked it out, I'm sure most people have, but it's very much worth it for an inside look at the AFLW and AFL men's programs. And there was quite a bit of chatter on the socials as well, Chief. I'm telling you this on the fly about the comments you made about having to cut some dead weight in terms of culture, that a few of the players might not have been showing the team traits that they were after.
Not team players.
Yeah, and there was lots of chatter about who that was, and
We'll let that rest, but we can all have our own theories. I've certainly got mine, but they don't need to be made public.
Well, I will. I think.
Okay. You go.
I think I'll just go one, but
Okay.
I'll go hard. I think Mo Hope would be pretty high on that list, I would have thought.
Yes. I don't like potting players, but yes, probably.
Yes. Right, let's move on. Before we get into the Q&A, I want to talk a little bit about the hottest topic in the North Melbourne world this week. Alistair Clarkson's comments about LDU, that it's not the end of the world if he leaves. First of all, I want to preface this by saying it's just a snippet of what he said. I haven't had the opportunity yet, because it only came out today, to listen to the full 48-minute conversation he had with one of the best journos in the business, Riley Beveridge. But there's been a lot of chatter from North fans about those comments. I'll turn to you first. What were your thoughts, and what's just your overarching thoughts on the LDU situation?
Well, firstly, we want him to stay, but it's got to be at the right price, which I think is what Clarko was saying. We don't want to overpay one player. And I don't think he's looking to be overpaid, but we can't have one player take it too much of the salary cap, because we're going to have a lot of good young talent coming, hopefully developing, improving, and then we're going to have to pay them in 2 or 3 years to keep them. So I think it'll sort itself out, but I sort of agree with what he's saying. Right. And if he does go, we're going to get a price. We're going to get first round compensation pick at worst, or we can match the bid and make them go to the trade, like Jeremy Cameron, GWS, Tim Kelly. I don't think he was a free agent, but they obviously held him in contract, and Geelong got very good compensation. And he's probably a comparable sort of player. I think LDU is better, but just for a recent comparison.
But I don't know what people want him to say. Like, oh, we're stuffed if he leaves.
Oh, yeah, you can't. Yeah, we're not throwing up the white flag and surrendering and folding the club if he leaves.
Obviously, he's right. He's an A-grade talent, and he's in that age where we've struggled to attract players as well. So obviously, it'd be a huge loss. We don't want to gloss over the fact. And personally, I think he stays.
Yeah, so do I. And I love him. I love the way he plays. I love the fact that he's not a me. He's sort of quiet. He's not in the media. He's not Ben Cunnington, but he's more Ben Cunnington than Harry Sheasel.
Or T. Goldstein. Speaking of blokes who love the media.
Media Goldie, didn't he love it?
But Clarko's just sort of put the onus on him. He said, we've got an offer that's great in front of him, which is rumoured to be around the 1.3 million over 7 to 8 years.
Yep.
And he said, I don't want to say that I'm confident he stays until he signs, because, and he also referenced the Lance Franklin deal from his time at Hawthorn. Yeah. So
yes.
I think I had no issues with his comments. Obviously, internally, they're going to be fighting to keep him, because he's such a high grade talent. But I also don't want the coach of our football club coming out and saying, we're in trouble if he leaves.
No, you can't say that. And we've covered it numerous times on this pod. We do have a depth of midfielders, and he's probably number 1 or 2 in the talent wise, and certainly number 1 in the age bracket wise. He's really in his sweet spot.
I think it's a step back if we lose him. Absolutely.
Yeah, but we will get compensated either by free agent compensation or playing hardball and forcing a trade.
But if that happens, though, you get pushed back 5 years, because he's right. He's
I know.
He's bided his time, and he's in the the A grade peak of his career now.
I agree. I want him to stay. But as Clarko said, it won't be the end of the world. The sun will still rise the next day and we'll have things to work with.
But it will hurt us. But also, I just want to comment on his character. You mentioned before he's not a massive media man. He also seems like he's loyal. And he has been on record a few times saying he wants to stay at the club. So I also think there's a part of the manager just, doing his due diligence, sniffing around all the other clubs. And I'm really confident he signs. If it gets to round 11 and he hasn't signed, that's where he signs for me. But I think it'll get done, if not before the start of the season, before Good Friday.
Oh, okay. Well, that's nice and early. They normally do it in the bye week when they re-sign. If they haven't re-signed after the bye week, then trouble. And especially if our win-loss record's not looking great.
Yeah, well, you look at the other free agents. Cam Rayner's already off the market. He's re-signed early. Brayshaw, by all reports, is very close to inking.
Yeah, he's been very close since pre-Christmas. So
I just think the LDU deal gets done sooner rather than later.
yeah, okay. Well, let's hope so.
Right, let's get into your questions, our loyal listeners. We'll start on X with a fellow Tassie man, straight off the bat. Brett Hay, what tweaks in game style do you think we will see in 2025? I'll head to you for your first thoughts.
Okay, I think we'll go fast daring corridor, which I know a lot of people will think sounds a little bit like North Ball, but they'll have defensive layers on it. So I don't think it'll be full out, but I think when we can attack, it'll be fast. I think we'll run in waves. And because we've got so many midfielders, I think we'll have midfielders resting forward. And midfielders, they're all classy. They're all ball winners. And I think we'll have a mobile, looking at mobile leading targets forward. And, not so much the long high ball to Nick and three defenders. That's what I think we'll do. And, yeah, the forwards will just provide a lot more movement.
I think, I tend to agree in terms of high rotation in the midfield. I think just from centre bounce to centre bounce, it'll LDU and two others. I think he'll spend the majority of the time in there as our most dynamic midfielder. But then you'll see, up to 10 other players rolling through there. And if need be, I'm sure Zerha and PC can attend the odd centre bounce as well. So
Yeah,
I think it'll be high rotation, as you pointed out a couple of pods ago.
I don't think we need PC and Zerha in there. I think we've got enough midfielders. Let the forwards forward.
I think, but here we go. Let's start an argument. I don't think we had this the other day. I don't think we have enough big-bodied midfielders. That's why I'm saying the odd one with Zerha in there, particularly with Wardlaw out for the start of the season.
I've got
we've
26-inch pythons going in there. You won't get bigger than that.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, but he's still vertically challenged, unfortunately. So
Yes. Yeah, okay.
I'm not saying put Zerha in there every centre.
I think
bounce,
there's a big one to get him in there. Let him be the third tall forward, which is his role. He's had to play second tall forward far too often. And we've covered that ad nauseum on this pod. But now let him play his role of third tall.
All right, now to answer the second part of the question about game style, I'm just moving on because we're going to argue about this for the next 10 minutes otherwise. I think North Ball is dead. I think it'll be more composed.
We're going long down the line.
No, that's also not going to be that. I think we'll utilise McKercher, Sheasel, Caleb Daniel, Josh Goda when he's there, which just on him quickly, there was a lot of noise that he was an 8 to 10 week hamstring, but our man, the Frog, sent in a clip from the Herald Sun saying he's cleared of any hamstring damage. So that is great news to celebrate on this Friday afternoon.
It is. Keep going with your game style, because if it's not North Ball, now North Ball is a bit of a loose term thrown around, but it basically means quick ball movement. Think Collingwood, think Richmond in their premiership era.
Yes. Now
Richmond's more chaos. I think we'll be more controlled because we've got better users.
All right, you've had your turn to answer.
Yeah.
Now
I'm fishing. I'm trying to dig out of you rather than going on about Goda's hamstring. What actually game style we're playing? Which was the question?
I think people are concerned about Goda, and there hasn't been a lot of clarity, so I'm just providing it for the listeners because they might not have seen it. Now, anyway, back to the game style. I think it'll be through the gears, but I can see a lot of just good use off halfback, sort of that kick, progressing our way up, using the Daniels, the McKerchers. The 45-degree kicks are the ones I want to see. But I think there'll be a lot more stability with our ball movement. Last year it was either long down the line or go attack. I think there'll still be elements of North ball, but I don't think it's going to be consistent slingshot football. I think it's going to be a lot more through the gears and assessing the game as it comes.
It'll be like layers, donkey.
Layers of defence, yeah.
Like an onion.
I'm not saying it's going to be
I'll
slingshot.
call you donkey for those who may not know, for a Shrek reference thrown in there. But it'll be like an onion. It'll be layers of it, which is what I said. There'll be defensive layers, and I agree. I think we'll use our foot skills until we get probably centre, and then it'll be go time with someone running through in waves and a handball to get that nice kick quickly into the forwards before the other opposition is set up defensively. That'll be our want, whether we can execute. That'll be the killer.
The time's now for Clarko. This is his third pre-season with this group. You've mentioned a couple of pods ago, he said in his Sid Barker speech that it's up to the coaching group now to find a game plan that fits this group with a lot of talent in it. So
and a lot of midfielders, yes.
It'll be must watch. We'll move on to North AFLW, my only friend on X, who says, who's our long-term partner to Larky? What percentage of our next Premiership 23 are on the list? Right, I'm going to say 60% of the 23 are on the list.
I'm going higher. I reckon 90.
90?
Yeah, on the list.
So you got Jack Darling in our next Premiership?
No, but on the list, 85. 85.
Well, that's a big call.
Well, I'm thinking of all these young guys, like Hardiman. He could be in it. He's not in our... He might have been your best 23. He wasn't quite in mine.
Well, that's a big call. He's played 5 games and you're going to say that you're confident he's in our next Premiership team.
Well, what do we need? We need more midfielders? No.
We need more key position players.
Well, but they're on the list. We've got Will Dawson. We've got Matt Whitlock.
Unproven.
Yeah, I know, but I'm backing them in that they're on the list now. Otherwise, we just, like you said with LDU, if we lose him, we're just going to keep going back to the draft.
No, I think...
I'm saying they're there.
What?
10%. What's that 10% of 23? Two, let's say 3 players we need.
All the great teams over the last few years that have won premierships have topped up with free agents and trades, and I think that's what when we get to that point of contending, are going to need to do, particularly key position-wise, which is the first part of the question, asking about who's our long-term partner to Nick Larky. And I've got big question marks there because I'm adamant, and I've been on record a lot saying I want Charlie Comben to play down back for the rest of his career.
Boom, boom.
No, well, and then obviously Whitlock has the potential to play there.
Dawson.
So I think Dawson's a centre half back.
Yeah,
They can probably swing there for short periods. I don't think he's a solution as a long-term partner to Larky in the forward line.
No. I'm talking back. I think Chom goes forward. That fixes the problems. Chom's your most dynamic, tall, other than Larky. But he's different to Larky, obviously. He can stand under a high ball, bring it to ground. He can fly for a mark. His only question on his forward craft is his set shot goal kicking, and I think that's an easier fix. Just that's your after training. That's your over summer homework.
I think if you look at all the good sides in the last few years, they've all had an elite intercepting defender. That's what let Carlton down. They've got 2 gun key forwards. Doesn't matter because they don't have anyone to intercept, and their key defensive stocks are bad except for Wiedering. I think that's the way the game's going, having those intercepts and then using your halfbacks to run and create. So I think Chom... I don't think anyone can do it nearly as well as Chom on our list. So I'd be keeping him down back.
Yeah, well, Whitlock's a hope that he can do it.
And Will Dawson, the big shotgun as well.
Yeah, he's probably more
a lockdown.
Yeah, I would think, but I'm not putting any ceiling on him.
No, but it's going to be an interesting one because this year it's obviously not much to help. Obviously, Jack Darling, we've spoken at nauseum about him and he's on his last legs. And then you look at sort of your Finbars, CCJs, and then potentially one of the defenders we've mentioned. So I think it's still an area we have to address.
Finbar's one who could be an intercepting defender. He's a great mark.
Yeah, but a rookie speculative pick as well.
Yeah,
so.
I know, but sometimes they come off. Some more often than not they don't, but we'll give him a chance.
Yeah, that's fair
I think his marking's at the level. It's just whether he can get the rest of his game to the level.
Yeah, well, I'm smiling at you. We are not on video this one, but there will be plenty more coming out But I'm smiling at you because just thought of his set shot goal kicking last year. Moving on, Daniel Pell.
Gee, I tell you what, the questions are hitting a nerve, aren't they?
They are.
It's two from two we've been arguing over.
We're up and about today. It's a bit muggy here in Tassie. And
It's hot, it's sweaty.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Daniel Pell, you've spoken about how you became a North supporter, but how did the Big Chief become a North Melbourne supporter? Now, you have answered this, but it was 80-odd pods ago. So
episode 2, I believe.
Was it? Okay,
I
well...
believe. You did the first one on your own, then you had to call in some reinforcements.
Listen,
No, you kindly invited me on, probably because everyone else said no.
I didn't ask anybody.
No,
Just
there you
listen
go.
to the me pump up here.
No, well, I was a child of the 70s, and there wasn't a lot of footy content back then in Tassie. You obviously couldn't attend games. There were no games played here, and anyway, so footy cards were the big deal, as they probably are still now, but they were a really big deal then. And got the footy cards and liked the colours of the Kangas, and obviously the Kangas. And
Well, how old are you at this stage? Is that the same
probably
anymore?
5 or 6.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. You're not 16.
No, not 16 with the footy cards. I was 5 or 6. And there was a little bit of content on the TV, and we were on the winners on the ABC, highlights packages and all score updates. And just like the Kangas with the footy cards with the colours. And got Wayne Schimmelbush's card, and my dad's name was Wayne. And obviously your dad's your first hero. I mean, you're still pretty good with your dad. No, your dad's your first hero, and they had the same name, and just on Wayne, probably the greatest first name in North Melbourne Football Club history. Obviously Schimmelbush into Swash into Carey, all Waynes. Anyway, so very handy players, all team of the century players. Anyway, so and just as you grow older and you learn more about the club, I love the fact that we were a smaller club, always battling working class. Underdogs, Shimbona spirit, all that stuff. I won't go on because it's not all about me. And just loved it, and still do. Very passionate about the Kangas.
I like it a lot, and it's dominated conversation 365 days a year for the last however long.
Yeah, for between me and the Frog and me and you and me and anyone else who will listen. We've had lots of debate about it, and who's our best players, but the underlying thing is we love the club and we want them to succeed.
I'll tell you what, we've had a bit more arguing on season 2 so far of the pod. It's been
by season 3 it could be bring your gloves or gloves off.
It probably will be. And just a little sneak peek for later, we've got a special guest joining us from SEN at the end of the pod.
Have we?
Might have been in New Orleans lately.
Whoa. No, I haven't heard that, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yes, but we'll move on to Stokesy. Now, this is going to cause another argument. Here we go.
God.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how chuffed was the Chief on getting his Ken Hinkley crystal ball prediction correct already?
Yes, well, thank you. Tick 1 point for me.
Now, we won't have to argue because we've outlined this. We've spoken about this. So you get the point as long as Simon Goodwin, who I selected, or I can't remember who the Frog, it might have been Beveridge from memory.
I think the Frog had Beveridge, yes.
As long as they don't get sacked during the year, it's a tick for you.
I think the question was first coach sacked, but clearly Ken's been eased out the door.
Yeah, but it's
not a blunt sacking, but he's if they were happy with him and he was happy to be there, he'd be coaching into the future. Oh. And there's every chance that if they have a bad start or a bad year, he might say, over to you now, Josh, I'm out of here. I'll take my redundancy and go
to
south of France or wherever they go.
He'll be kicking him out if they're 0-5 or 2-7.
I'm leading the pack at this stage on that question or that prediction.
Look, I will for once agree with you there. But nice. Next one, last one on X, Netfickle. Culture gains when we defeated Gold Coast in the last round of 23 didn't amount to much given the flop of 24. Head wobbles winning void game, papered over some cracks, brutally exposed us in 2024. Do you think it's better to hurt Larky kicks a bag but gets all Australian, or should we have lost that game?
No, you never want to lose.
The big question will be the Harley Reid stuff.
Yeah, so I'm very happy with Colby.
Colby, I'm not. I don't need to speak about him again. I've
No.
been very high on him.
Look, as a fan watching in the stands and seeing Silv kick 9 and us win comfortably,
And we've got to
and
also
just relax and enjoy the last quarter, knowing you've sewn the 4 points up, which were pretty meaningless, really. But a win's a win's a win, and they've been too few and far between. And the boys on the field, when the siren went, the celebrations had to be seen to be believed, really, live, because they were very happy. And the other thing is, would have all the commentators, Kane Corn, Sam McClure, don't get me started, would all be saying, how many would we have lost in the row? Because we already had it.
We're at 20.
We're at 20. So that would have stretched to what? I can't think on the fly.
Well, we went 0-11, I think, to start the year.
Yes, we did. So it would have got to
Would have
31.
broken the record.
It would have broken the record, and I mention it. So just for that fact, it was worth it. But you always want to win. I don't. Did it really change our draft? It only changed we got McKercher instead of Reed, didn't it?
Well, we would have got them both with Mackay leaving.
Oh yeah, so that would have been handy, I suppose.
But
yeah.
we're still bullish on Big Game Zane and what he can do. And
Yeah, exactly.
Harley Reid might be cashing in the Hungry Jacks sponsorship once or twice, having a look at him.
Yeah.
Well,
He'll go to Geelong, won't he? He's a Geelong supporter, and the Cotton On will sponsor him.
yeah,
They'll be
well,
all outside the salary cap.
yeah, exactly. We'll keep an eye on that throughout the year, no doubt. Moving over to Instagram, H_Valentine. I like these sort of questions. Rank your top 5 most hated teams, and I'll take the new ball here.
Yep.
So Essendon number 1. Don't have to elaborate on that too much. Number 2, I've got Hawthorn.
Yep.
Had to go through high school in that dynasty. All my mates, and the Tassie Hawks crap because they played in Launceston, and now they're hateable even more now with little hockball and selfies. And,
yeah.
so they're number 2. Number 3, I've got Port Adelaide. Their fans have got no memory of 2010 when they had the tarps out.
Yeah.
And then obviously Jason Horn-Francis debacle and just how bogan their
They're very
supporter
bogan.
base is.
Yeah, very bogan.
Number 4, I've got Carlton. Just cannot stand them. Obviously, see Curnow and his whistle as well. And then number 5, I've got the Wet Toast. I just really can't stand them.
Yep. All good choices. I've Essendon are number 1, but that's sliding because they're pretty irrelevant. Let's face it, they're just a joke. When was the last finals win?
2004.
Yes.
Hey, guess what? This year they'll be able to drink in America. They had a streak.
Yeah, that'll be of legal age.
21.
Yeah, so Essendon, they've got Carlton, and this is very similar to your reasons for Hawthorn, because when I grew up and was in the late 70s, early 80s, they won 3 out of 4, and they were very arrogant and very dodgy accountancy, I would suggest.
Brown paper bags.
Brown paper bags everywhere, and that continued right up to their last premiership, which, if the AFL had any balls, would have done what the NRL did to the Storm and just deleted it from history, but we know the AFL got no balls. They can't even beat the Carlton Lawyers when they just really smack people and knock them out.
P. Cripps, 3 votes.
Yes. So that's my reason for Carlton. And they've probably got the most arrogant supporter base
Yes.
going around. Hawthorn, yeah, just because you're sick of them winning, really. Port, the tarpaulins, the short memories. Port.
Yeah.
And the JHF.
And Port fans as well. Nobody cares about your Sandful premierships.
No, I don't care who you won. I won an underage premiership. Can we count that? I mean, how ridiculous. And then I've got the AFL love child as an ex, and they've got 2. Sydney have always been their love child. Help them out as much as they can, and Gold Coast. And we're not going to mention draft picks. Oh, too bad, too late. We've done it, and what they've got compared to us. So. And I've deliberately left Collingwood out of a lot of people have them as hated. And Collingwood love the fact that you either love them or hate them. So I just nothing them. But having said that, if I lived in Melbourne and had to go to the Collingwood games, I'd probably force their way up with their supporters. But yeah, just left out.
I like it a lot. No doubt they'll be filthy with that.
Yeah, they won't be happy. It's just insignificant. Yeah. The way Essendon are heading too.
Yeah, well, boy, that's true. Next up, we've got Dave OC24, who's asked your favourite nickname for a North Melbourne player. So I'll start first. And lots of great choices, but I've got to go with the most recent one.
Yeah.
Bryn Teakle being big Test Teakle.
Yes.
And getting to yell that out in a few games last year. Very, very big fan of that one. What about you?
Well, I go for the classic. I mean, it's similar lines. Spitter, Andrew Swallow.
Former Sid Barker medalist and captain of the club for those
Yes.
who might be new to the North Melbourne Footy Club.
Yes, and it's just classic Aussie humour, isn't it?
It is.
That nickname. So we don't need to elaborate. And just going back to Spitter, we watched him, I think it was against Port in Boot Park, as it was called then. He dragged us over the line. Do you remember that game? Well, you were there, but you was younger. It was in the early 2010s.
I do remember
And, Port were coming, and he just, in and under, won every clearance, every stoppage. He was there, getting his nose right in the trough and just dragged us over the line. It was fantastic.
That era, how slow, but how tough was our midfield? You had Zeeble, Cunnington, Swallow.
Yeah, lots of hard ball gets there. Not a lot of skill coming. Cunners, to be fair, with his elite handballing. But,
I'll tell you what, they wouldn't have been too high in the 2K time trials.
No.
Those three.
No.
But yes, great player. Doesn't get spoken enough about.
No, very good.
Swallow.
Very, very good player.
And on the board now as well.
Yes.
We'll keep rolling on. Andy Scalise, 7, says, priority position to get in this year's draft. He would love a small forward. Well, I'm big on key position.
Same.
Need to keep going that way. And I did speak about key forwards before. We might see the unicorn unveiled this year at some point, Taylor Goad.
Yes.
I forgot to mention him, but I think we still need a genuine key forward. I was a bit flat. We didn't get a Shanahan or a Harry Armstrong last year. Obviously tried to trade up, but we got Matt Whitlock, which is just a great selection as well. And then small forwards, I agree on, depending on this year's form. I mean, they're all probably going to get a go. Your Cooper Harveys, your Jacob Constantes, your Robbie Hanson Juniors. So a lot of it depends on whether they're able to nail down a position. But we are seeing in the good sides that your small forwards are really important. You look at the Giants, you look at what Kyle Lohmann did in the first half of the grand final last year, even Sydney as well. I've got a range of small forwards as well. So that's sort of the way the game's trending. So we need someone to step up for us this year.
Yeah, because all attacks pretty much start off half back. So your small forwards have got to intercept, disrupt that, make it a dirty ball coming out as best they can. And going back to last year, when we had that great first half against Collingwood, we were getting the ball in deep and not allowing their half-backs to get that run and bounce off it. And it disrupted them and obviously helped us score as well. I think we've got enough small forwards, as we discussed a couple of pods ago, but none of them are proven at AFL level. So if we can get an elite small forward, I'd be all for it. You'd have to be elite. You'd have to be good at pressure and good at kicking goals, because you can't just have one who does pressure and can't impact the scoreboard. But I still think we need a tall, mobile and skillful forward. I've got a lot of hybrid medium types, but we need, dare I say it, the Charlie Curnow type. And they don't grow on trees, but if we get to that, there is a question about that later. So, spoiler alert, I'd pick him if I could pick someone from another team, because he's got skills. He can get it on the ground, get it in the air. That's, I think, if wish list, that'd be number one. And we've mentioned key backs, but I think we've got them on the list developing. Now, whether they can develop to the standard is the question mark. But they're only young and they're tracking well.
They are. That's a great point. Our next question is from Zali Betts, who says, who should we target for the 2026 season from other clubs? Now, I didn't have time to run through who's out of contract.
Neither do I, so apologies there.
But there's a couple that came to mind straight away. So, obviously, the Giants have got a stacked forward line.
Yeah, I've midgets. Well, I'm not allowed to say that. I've vertically challenged people.
They've also got a lot of key position players.
Yes.
With Callum.
Who aren't getting a game. Because of the aforementioned vertically challenged, pressure forwards are getting games ahead of them.
And the package up there, too.
Yeah, well,
he'll push a couple out.
He'll push him out. He'll push his own teammates out to get the ball.
Yeah, he will. So
he won't run and chase, though. I don't think the pressure's high on his agenda.
It's not. So Jake Riccardi.
Yes.
Is one that we've looked at in previous years. If he's not getting a consistent game, there's one to look at.
And he's high 190s from memory without looking him up.
About the 196, I'd say. So
a good size.
Then the one I'd go big on and be offering the $1 million contracts.
Yes.
Out of contract this year from the Giants, and what you just spoke about, a highly skilled, tall, mobile key forward. Here he is. I don't think we're a chance to get him, but I'd be in the race. Aaron Cadman from
Yes.
the Giants. I think he's Jay Cameron 2.0.
Yes, I agree.
And then I've also got written here any key position players that could be a realistic chance. Some small forwards potentially from other clubs if ours don't work out, as well as a bit of ruck depth. Because unfortunately, I think CCJ will probably get moved on at the end of the year. So just an extra ruck depth if we can.
Yeah, we've got Goad. He'll explode, if not this year, then next year.
Well, that's a good point. And
Well, we're looking for next year, but it could even happen earlier.
right, any additional thoughts from you?
No, well, I didn't have time to look at all the outer contracts. Apologies. But I do agree.
Rory on Instagram has the next one. Hey boys, hearing big raps on Mick Barlow as head of development. Any thoughts? Well, that's what I'm hearing too.
Yeah, well, same. So I can't elaborate and I don't want to go back over old ground, but our development in years
Shit house.
past has been, that's about the easiest way to say it. And, just examples, Curtis Taylor came in as about a pick in the 50s?
46 from memory, or 46, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. But showed that he had talent.
I think
But he could not. When he left last year, he was the same player. After 4
I
or
reckon
5
his
years.
first 10 games were better than the next 60.
Yeah, I agree. And you're a bit surprised in the first 10, and then you come to expect it. But we just got the same. And Sluvo's the same. I mean, you can't say Sluvo wasn't a high-end talent. And he was a pick 6 in the draft. Rising star at Collingwood, came over and for whatever reason couldn't even maintain his level, let alone improve. And inconsistency was obviously a killer with him.
And you look at a player like, going back a bit further, Sean Atley,
Yep.
just never got better.
No.
I mean, he was consistent and serviceable, but
It was a 6 or 7 every week.
But he was a first round draft pick.
Yeah.
And then you can look at some other ones we missed with high picks like Sam Durden and
Yes. So
Mitch Hibbert, another one who was highly touted
And
coming
it's-
out of Tassie.
yes, and it's all the club's got to. Obviously, the player has to be invested, but they should be. They're getting paid well enough, and the club's really it's a point of difference you can really make with development. And with us, with the youngest list, it's our most important. It's more important than Clarko's coaching is the development. But I think Barlow is doing, and his team doing a good job.
You look at the young talent we have and how well they're playing, and also taking into consideration how quickly he sent Werribee back up the ladder when he was their coach in VFL. There's big raps on him, and it seems like there's good reason for that at the present time.
Yeah, and not that long out of the game either.
No, exactly.
And obviously being a senior coach, as you said. So
And he knows all about work ethic because he had to do it the hard way.
Yes.
As a mature age rookie.
Yes.
Playing for 2 clubs.
and had a shocking leg injury when he was the pig, as they call it in Supercoach.
He was the OG, I reckon.
Yeah, he was the OG pig.
Yeah. Right, let's move on to Alex Lopez, who has a couple of questions for us. Who are you expecting to break out for North? Well, we sort of covered this in the first poll, but I'll run back over my 3.
Yep.
So I had Colby McKercher, Finn O'Sullivan, and Cam Zerha.
Yes.
I mean, Zerha's already established, but I'm speaking going to the next level.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll do the same. I had Big Game Zane, and now that, unfortunately, one of my men in the most select club in all of the AFL...
Second.
Oh, really? He's out. I think will get minutes and will explode. And it'll explode more than his bloody Hulkster style T-shirt with the 26-inch pythons coming out. He'll go well, Will. And I mean, I could throw in Tom Powell, but he exploded early last year, so I think he'll go well again.
Riley Hardiman, there's another one that'll...
Riley Hardiman, when he gets his opportunity. Goda, who you've mentioned, if you can get him fit enough.
I think we'll see. I think he's exploded, but he's done not much the last couple of years. But Daniel, in his proper position at halfback, he's looking like...
He's been All-Australian, so...
But I think he'll return to that.
Yeah.
That level
Yep.
is more what I'm saying.
But I'm looking for Big Game Zane and Will Phil. Just to pick 2.
I like it. His next one, and shout out to Alex Lopez, big community following on Letterboxd, which is a movie rating platform.
Yeah.
He's asked top 3 favourite movies of all time. So I'll start off.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Shutter Island.
Yep.
I'm a big fan of that. Back to the Future.
Yep.
Can't go wrong there. And Star Wars Episode 5. Now, I was thinking about this on the way over. The original trilogy of Star Wars, that's like probably winning 3 in a row, right? 3 flags in a row.
Yeah, well, the Ewoks took a bit of...
Yeah, okay. Maybe making
a bit of gloss off that victory.
3 grand finals in a row. And then imagine that, the hype's up, you're flying, and then Episode 1 is like winning the grand final and then winning the spoon the next year. Because it's horrendous.
Yes.
It's a horrendous movie. And a big shout out to American Pie as well. I'm a big fan of that, and I watched it the other day, and it still is hilarious.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think there's a funnier character than the big stiff Meister. But right, rolling on to you quickly.
Right, just quickly. Well, I've sort of broken into categories. When I was a kid, like there were a lot of westerns. Westerns were the go, and there'd be a big build up to the final battle or whatever. So I went to the movies and watched the original Star Wars, and that just blew me away because action straight away. And roll again for Raiders of the Lost Ark. So I'll roll them into one. Right, they were fantastic as a kid because it was just action. And Star Wars, never seen anything like it, like the special effects and everything for the time. And then I've got Lord of the Rings. Like, I think that we just roll them all into one. That was really good. And I hadn't read the books or anything, so that was all new to me when I watched that. And lastly, Pulp Fiction. I think if that comes on TV and it's halfway through, I can just sit there and watch it to the end again. I think that was fantastic. I like all Tarantino's work, so it's not for everyone, but yeah, I like it.
More a Scorsese man myself.
No, yeah, right. Okay.
But, I like that question. I like when the listeners just come with something a bit left field.
Yeah, it gives us a little break from football.
It does. Now we're getting straight back into football.
Yeah, because that's what we're here for.
Exactly. And some people probably don't want to listen to the waffle. Footy Forecast Pod, big shout out to them.
Yeah.
Getting the number 1 analysis for North Melbourne on.
Yeah.
They have asked, pick 3 players to join North from any club. So we've both got Curnow.
Are we? You're looking at...
I just assumed you have Curnow.
Yeah, I have.
And
I've got him as number 1.
I've got him as an asterisk. As long as he brings the whistle with him.
Yeah. Yes.
That's the main thing. Number 2, I've got Harris Andrews.
Okay. What's his age?
He'd be about 27, I reckon.
Okay. Well, I'll go. My number 2 is Sam Taylor. Similar. So we've both identified key back who can beat their player and intercept. And my 3rd is Jordan Dawson from Adelaide, a team you're very familiar with. I just think he's a very good kick, and I think you can't have too many good kicks in your team. And I'll just say there'll be a lot of people who think, what about N. Dacos, 3 votes? And I thought, well, we don't need Dacos, we got Harry.
Oh, yeah, don't start me on that comparison. I'll be get fired up again. But
in all seriousness, I would take Dacos. But no, we've got Harry, and
we've got enough mids.
And we've got plenty of mids. Or Dawson, to be fair, is a mid, but I'd be putting him back out onto his wing, which is where he played at Sydney. And he can also roll through the midfield. But it's a lethal kick that I really like.
Left footer too. So Clark will be all over him.
Yep, be in there.
My 3rd one, we just spoke about dynamic small forwards. So Toby Green from the Giants.
Yeah, that'd be fair.
Right, we'll keep rolling on because we've still got a few to go. Kevin Frost has said, and I like this one, what has Harley Reid ever done? Is he overhyped? The answer to that is absolutely yes, because he's had about 3 good games and he gets about 14 disposals. And I know it is harder in the midfield, I will say that. But the media hype he gets compared to our young stars in Harry Sheasel, and I'm sure the greater AFL, and particularly Sam McClure, I'm going to give a fair shout out to him here, and not in a good way, saying that he doesn't know if Colby McCurcher would be a good AFL player.
What? Good? He's past good.
Yes, I know. So
he's great.
Yeah, it's ridiculous the hype he's getting. Will he be a good player? No doubt. He's got those attributes, but there's definitely... we know with Frog Jr. living in WA, the hype around him is incredible.
Well, you don't have to live in WA. He's
but he's on the back page. He's on the back page every day.
He's a 12-page lived out every Saturday. No, it's just overhyped, all that. And you just look, they showed a highlight of one of his good game. He's a good player, don't get me wrong, but the question was, is he overhyped? Yes, in capitals.
Even if he was doing what, say, a Dacos or a Shees was doing, he'd still be overhyped because it's a two-team town and it's just Harley mania.
Yeah, and they're the biggest team in the town. But you compare when they showed his highlight. Did he win goal of the year where he broke free of the centre, ran away from Petrarca and kicked a goal? They showed that ad nauseum, yet Colby, who had his 4 bounces against Gold Coast, how often they show that in the broader media other than hardly ever.
No, I know, I'm with you.
Colby had a much better first season than Reid. But Reid is a good player, but overhyped, absolutely.
And then Kevin's also put here that is Sam McClure the biggest wanker in footy media?
Yes, in capitals again.
I'm going to go he's number 2.
Oh,
I'm
who's your number 1?
C. Wilson. He's number 1.
Yeah, I don't listen to her, so she's back in mind. I listen to that podcast that Sam's on, so he's front of mind.
Yeah, true that. And then he's put, I think he hates North because of the 99 grand final, which...
I think that's right, because he'd have been, mid-30s?
Yeah, so he would have been probably 15.
No, early, he'd be single digits.
Oh, he would have been, yes. I've overshot that a little bit.
5 to 9, somewhere in that range, and it would have broken his little heart.
But we're not going to give him any more airtime. No more airtime for him. We'll move over to Facebook, where our man Tubby Tanker has put here, seeing Liam Jones is out for round 1 against the Doggies, do we stretch them and play Bryn Teakle or keep the list the same as normal? I think that's a great shout.
Oh, here we go. We're going to argue again.
You don't?
No, I'm not having Teakle in my team at this stage, unless there's injuries.
I think, but the question is, with Liam Jones out, they don't have Alex Keith anymore. They've got Joel Frazier and the big lobster down there now, Rory Lobb, who's played 15 games down there.
Yeah, but he's a better player than Teakle, and he'd play on him. He's taller than him.
Well, that gives Larky one of these phrases. Yeah, I like it. I'm saying yes.
I'm saying no. But I think Jones's key attributes is he reads the play well, he zones off, he knows where the opposition are going to kick it, and he beats his opponent there. So I don't think he wouldn't have played on Teakle anyway.
Well, Jones has absolutely flogged Larky the last 3 or 4 times they've played on each other.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't play Teakle. I'd almost.
No, but the question is now with him out, would you stretch that back?
Well, if I was going to stretch it, I know I'm probably buying into the hype a little bit.
Oh, you're not on a debut round 1, are you?
Well, he's goad. Anyway, but I'd roll with the team we're going to play. I'm not changing it because one out. He's a key out, and it'll get Suv off the leash a bit because he'll have a lesser player playing on him.
Well, we'll watch that with interest.
Yep.
It's good to have healthy. It's all right to argue.
It's all opinion based.
Yeah. And yours is wrong. Right, Michael says, Kane Corn says we'll be good this year. Is that a surefire way of knowing that we'll be shit? Which is...
Well, it's a surefire way knowing that if we don't live up to Kane's expectations, he will come very hard for us. Because he does it for every team. And obviously, it's a scattergun approach. He'll get some right and he'll get some wrong. And the ones that are wrong, that don't live up to his expectations, he'll come very hard for and have hours of media time on. And the ones that he gets wrong, he'll just, I got that wrong.
Yeah.
And then move on to the ones he got right or didn't live up to his expectations.
See, I don't mind Kane. I'd rather someone in the media who has strong thoughts and doesn't mind pissing people off than your Andy Mars or someone that's just...
Yeah. No, and that's his role. He knows his role. And like I said, he will admit when he gets them wrong, but that won't get near the airplay of the ones that don't live up. So there's going to be one team that, is 5 or 6 wins less than he's predicted, and he will go hard for them.
Yeah, I'm just seeing if Channel 7 muzzle him this year or not. Because he's obviously going on the big 7-figure plus deal over to 7 and see what he's doing.
You're not paying that much money to him and have him muzzled and just become a Darcy type, Tim Watson type operator. Tell you what you're already seeing on the vision. We don't need that. We need deeper analysis or don't talk at all.
You get big Jason Dunstall. He's good for that. Right, moving on. Mitch has asked, top 5 AFL theme songs. Obviously, we're number 1, but what about the rest? And he rates Ports.
Yeah, well, I'll go. Well, because I'm already talking. I've got the Crows, Crosstown Rivals. I like them. That's the Marine fighting song. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
No, that's what it's based on. So I like that. Brisbane, which is based on the French national anthem. I don't mind that. I don't like hearing any of them, to be honest, but I've been forced to pick some. And here's one that'll be a bit controversial. And I didn't like it when it first came out. Probably because Kevin Sheedy was there singing it. But it's sort of grown on me, the GWS.
Oh, that's number 2 for me. That's a banger. I've got that.
Can I just finish?
Yeah.
Because I've deliberately left one out, which is just to really piss off any of their supporters who might listen. And that is We're from Tigerland.
I'll tell you that.
They think that's the greatest song
I'll give you the
ever.
big tip. Anyone who supports Richmond won't be watching footy for the next 4 years.
No, and it'll be irrelevant. You'll hear it at the start of the game, and that's it.
I've got the Giants, big fan of that. I don't mind the Suns, Gold Coast Suns one.
Okay.
I like Brisbane's as well.
Do you like their pink jumper?
No,
Okay.
I don't.
You'll be seeing it live
I will
at
be.
the Barossa. It'll be like a little rosé colour.
And I hate to say it, so I had Brisbane, GWS, Gold Coast, and I hate to say it, but I don't. I think Hawthorn have a good theme song.
No, I don't like this.
Moving on, we've got a couple left to go. Thanks to everyone again. Matt has said, when do you guys believe North will be back in the premiership window?
Well, before we go there, I just want to have the worst theme song. And you have to go back to the original Frio Hee Ho. Do you remember that?
I do, but
It was
I also
like
want to
a death march.
I want to put up West Coast when they changed it to like Birds of Tokyo sang it. I don't know if it still is that anymore, but it was horrendous.
Yes. So, Frio Hee Ho.
And Carlton's is up there too. That's terrible.
No, can't stand it.
To answer your question, when will North be back in the premiership window? I think... So that's sort of finishing top 4, having a real shake. What are we, 25 this year? I'm going to say 2028.
Yeah, I won't argue with that. We've had enough arguments today, so I'll let that ride. And going back when I said I had 90, maybe 85, 90% of the list, they should still be there, shouldn't they?
Yeah,
all
they
these
will.
young people. We'll get rid of the deadwood.
Yeah. I agree. I don't agree with your number, but I agree that a lot of them will still be there. Ryan has asked the last question for today, and a big thank you again to everyone sending them in. In 2 to 3 years, where do you see Whitlock, Dawson and Chom playing, and who makes up our spine? Well, that'll be a big part of the spine. I'm going to stick with my Chom down back, Will Dawson down back, and I think we could see big Matt Whitlock play key forward if we are not able to get one through trade or free agency.
They like his work below the knees. We've got Goad, who will be a forward.
Yep.
And forward/ruck.
I think we need to just pump the brakes on. There's a lot of hype. He's still only 19, and his VFL form last year, and I'm going to put the asterisk that it was his first year, was quite poor. So
Yeah, it was.
I think a lot of North supporters are getting ahead, thinking he's going to come in and kick 30 goals this year and be.
He's put the kegs on though, hasn't he? He's been in the gym.
He has, but he's still got the footy aspect that he has to learn, because he's not from a traditional football upbringing. He was a soccer player, wasn't he, or basketball, or I know he was a late starter to football. So and plus that position as well, it's going to take time to grow.
I think he got taken down to South Adelaide, like under 16s or maybe 18s, as a very tall prospect and maybe a basketball.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yep.
He's not started in under 8s,
No.
was kick and all that sort of
No.
stuff. So, well, obviously you're big on Chom playing forward. What about the other?
Yeah, I think Dawson will be your key. Take to the gorilla forwards, and Whitlock more your interceptor. Obviously, what year are we talking about?
No, this is just for the future. In 2 to 3 years' time.
Yeah, so Core will probably be on his last legs. Griff will still be about. Logue.
Silver will still be there, obviously.
Yeah, Silver will still be our key forward. Yeah, so it looks pretty good, doesn't it? If those younger ones come on as we hope, and you'd love Goad as a forward who can then ruck as well. But here's one for Brady. I know there's been a lot of hype about him. He's signed his contract to the end of 26, but he's South Australian. We've got to lock him up. I think it's time to extend him.
I agree too.
Because Adelaide desperate for a ruckman, and they're apparently going to be all in for Draper, if you listen to the rumour file. And Port haven't got a good ruckman either.
No, they don't.
No. So both South Australian clubs crying out for a ruckman, and they'll throw the buckets at Goad. So let's get him signed up for another couple.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with it. Hang
Brady,
on.
I know Brady listens. So.
Yeah, well, hang on. Something. Jared, we've got you, Jared.
And as we cast our eyes over to Arden Street, North Melbourne, what can they bring in Clarko's third year? So many promising midfielders, but is there room for them all? Tuning into the Shin Bonus podcast yesterday with young Bailey and Big Chieftain, it's been reported that Will Phillips is supporting some 26-inch fucking pythons. Now this could be key in a midfield that is severely lacking a pure defensive mid. And if Will Phil can be that tackling beast to complement the likes of LDU and Sheasel, well, who knows? I think 10 wins is not off the table.
Yeah, thank you, Jared. I think that's a fair one. Just a quick apology to little Jimmy in case he was listening with some...
Jared, not like him to drop the F-bomb.
No, I know, but sent in by our man the Cactus.
Yeah, he found that. He was obviously listening closely and thought I better hit record on the old tape machine.
Yeah, I think Jared, obviously over in New Orleans for the Super Bowl, which quick shout out to my Eagles, stopping the three-peat from the Chiefs, which was great to see and still up and about that one. But this is a footy podcast. Yeah, I think Jared might have got a bit loose in New Orleans and he's dropped the F-bomb.
Too many cocktails.
Dropped the magic. But that might just be about us. Thank you once again. The People's Podcast this is, for sending in all your questions. Make sure you're following us across all social media and please subscribe wherever you're listening so you can send your questions in. For our listeners who might just purely be on YouTube, feel free just to comment them on under any video with the hashtag Q&A, and we'll be all over those to answer your questions. But yeah, some very educated questions too, which kept us busy. So thank you very much.
Yeah, no, I love it. People's Pod, we'll have to make that an annual event, or maybe more than annual. But yeah, we love the questions. We love the interactions. The left field questions we get as well, and just your normal footy ones as well. We like to know what the listeners want us to try and answer.
Yeah, and for those who might be a bit new...
Brought a bit of, about 3 rounds.
Yeah.
3 rounds of a bit of argy-bargy.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, easy 3-zip for me as well. For those who might be new to the pod, after every North game, we also have listener questions in our review. So keep an eye on that as well for those who might be new to the pod. So it's just about us done for this week.
How many days? What's the countdown?
I think it's 29, Boomer. Today, because I know the club put out a big chom 30 days till round one yesterday.
Too, yes. Another one of my men. Also,
check out, the club put out a bit of training content today with little CD mic'd up, which was good to see.
Yeah, it was good.
More of that. There hasn't been enough.
No, there hasn't been enough, and we were going to mention that on the pod, but yeah, keep it up. Because we're just starving for this sort of stuff.
And we got teased a couple of years ago with the Inner North where Clarko was drawing circles and it was great content.
Yes.
And now they've just given us not much.
No. And we love it.
Yep. Keep it coming.
All right. Well, we'll sign off. That's the end of the People's Pod. And goodbye from me. And most importantly, Karma Kangas.
Thanks again, guys. We'll be back next week to review our first game against the D's in an unofficial scratch match, but we'll get our first taste of North footy then, and we'll be giving our thoughts. Until then, thanks for listening. Go Roos!
Good old North